Super excited about the game this weekend. Thought we came out and played, I think, for the most part, almost all four quarters. There's a little lapse in there where we have to continue to work on, but really excited about how we played and ready to get back to work. We had a good practice yesterday, pretty good spirited practice yesterday with a short week, getting ready for San Jose State. So thank you guys for being in attendance.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open up for questions and get started with Bryce.
Hi, Coach. What if you had to break down in some kind of percentage way, or at least proportionally, how much of the success of your defense is scheme, how much is effort, how much is preparedness? I know it's all a part of it, but how does that, what makes your defense produce the level that it has?
That's a great question, Bryce, and I don't know if I can
in progress.
actually, quantify what to answer that right now based on, just being here in the short, limited time that I have. I would start with it starts with a culture, starts with our head coach, Brady Hoke, and, what our expectations are as a program. And then it filters down to, like you said, the effort and the toughness in which we try to play every play with. No question, there's an element of scheme to it, but I'd also say there's an element of players who have bought into what we're asking them to do. Because each and every week there might be a different player that's maybe performing well because schematically, as well as how we try to put them in the best position to be successful based on what an opponent does. So I think it's a series of things that have taken place, whether it be last year or this year, and continuing to try to find the weakness maybe that an opponent presents to us and how we want to attack it from that standpoint.
On a day-to-day basis, what's kind of, a lot of times groups have themes or things they really, players always says, coach always says this to us, and they repeat the thing everybody on that unit knows. What is the thing you preach in practice every day?
Effort and toughness would probably be one statement that we talk about on a daily basis. We also talk about our philosophy, which is, all 11 players know what to do and how to do it. Get to the ball, all 11 players to the ball with bad intentions. And then finally, number 3 is keep them out of the end zone. And those are three things that we talk about daily, collectively as a group.
What you look at some teams around the country that maybe aren't as balanced as others. I'm thinking, I went to college at Iowa, and you look at what Iowa's doing right now, and it's really their defense that's carrying them. How much can defenses carry a team, and when is that balance question? Can you overcome balance questions just with the defense?
Again, that's another great question, Bryce. I don't know if you can overcome anything with just one side of the ball. I think, we talk about it as a program we're a 3-phase program, offense, defense, and special teams. And our objective each and every week is to win all 3. But we feel that if maybe one side of the ball might struggle a little bit, as long as the special teams can try to round us out to help elevate the offensive side of the ball / defensive side of the ball, or maybe offensive defensively, we're playing well and we might not be playing great in a quick kicking game, that we'd be able to overcome maybe something that happens. But without question, we believe as a program that we need to win 2/3 of the 3 phases of the game of football.
I know you guys are aware, the Mountain West is very aware, the Pac-12 is probably very aware of the defense that you have, but in total defense, you're ahead of, again, Iowa, Cincinnati, lots of other teams that are ranked really, really highly. Do you think the country understands the defense that's played at this program?
To be honest with you, no. And, that's, again, a credit to Coach Hoke as well as Rocky Long, who started this program, or not, I apologize, but restructured and rebuilt this program a few years ago and tried to instill within this program a culture of accountability and a culture of doing things a certain way and holding each other to a standard of performance. And I think that's the neatest thing. Obviously, I was familiar with San Diego State based on my relationship with Coach Hoke. But when I came in here and looked at some of the stats over the years that Coach Long was able to establish, along with Coach Gonzalez, Coach Arnett as defensive coordinators, it's unbelievable. And I would agree with you, Bryce, as far as the credit that this university and this football program has had should accolades should be given to them. But don't get me wrong, it's not us coaches as playing, it's the players, and it's them buying into what we're asking them to do. It's them each and every day coming to work with a mission to want to make sure that what they put on the field is something that this program represents in the right way.
Last thing on my end, is there any truth to the rumor that Matt Ariza might get reps in the defensive backfield at some point?
You never know. We've definitely had some injuries. Matt has done, and Coach Deeks, pseudo defensive linebacker coach, and so on and so forth. So there's times where our specialists go through our pursuit drills, they go through our tackling drills, and do different things. And Matt Ariza is an unbelievable athlete. There's things that he can do that I wish some of our defensive players could do. But Matt is a tough young man and takes a lot of pride in what he does, and has a great season. Up to this point, has had a great season. We're excited for him.
And just to be clear, Matt in particular has gone through some of your pursuit or tackling drills?
Well, all of our specialists, whether it be a long snapper, whether it be, all three backup guys, because again, when we go through practice stuff, part of special teams is an element of, having to tackle the coverage units, whether it be punt return or punt team and or kickoff, and all the kickers are on that, obviously having to kick. So put themselves in a position to learn fundamentally how to tackle properly, be safe, and all those things, and be able to maybe be the last line of defense to get a ball carrier down.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Bryce.
Thanks, Bryce. We'll go to John.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I heard Brady this morning on with us on the radio this morning talking about the defense saying, what is an area of improvement? He thought there were some turnovers that have been left on the board through these first handful of weeks. Would you agree with that assessment?
Without question. Unfortunately, you get so excited because, there's 2 or 3 plays that Trent made unbelievably, going up and catching a ball. Again, I don't think we're allowed to comment on, certain calls, but I thought that was a great interception, the one that was in the middle of the field, sort of on our half of the field. I didn't necessarily see the penalty, but, it was what it was. And then there's 2 other plays that he makes really good man coverage turns, has his hands on the ball, and then Taylor Hawkins had that old Hawk can of corn from the White Sox, and unfortunately he missed that as well. So those to me are frustrating because again we try to talk it all the time. Any extra opportunities for our offense to get their hands on the ball, we know good things are going to happen. And so from that standpoint, it's a situation we must capitalize on those plays, especially. Again, in those situations, that the game was really tight still at that point. Maybe 1 touchdown advantage or, maybe a touchdown field goal advantage, 10-point lead. As many points as we could get on the board as much as we can. And, we feel like getting turnovers back for our offense has been very positive from a point production standpoint.
I go back to a year ago, and I want to say the backup quarterback at the time for San Jose State, right, in the game against you guys, he basically plays the entire game. He's dual threat. He puts together a good performance. And, you know the story. I don't need to rehash it. But how does it change this week in terms of your preparation? Because their starter's been nicked up. Nash has obviously seen a lot of time. So having a week of preparedness, does that put you in a better spot than you were a year ago, not knowing, obviously, that you were going to see him in that game the way you saw him?
Sure. I would say that, John, as well as we don't know if the Starkel will be back. I don't think they comment publicly on injuries. So from that standpoint, we are preparing for Nash because that's what it was. But we also, in return, just like you're saying, we'll have a couple packages ready if excuse me, Starkel's able to play and getting himself into a situation from that standpoint, which we believe Starkel's a heck of a passer, and their offense changes a little bit. They run the ball with Nash a little bit more than they would with Starkel. And so the good thing is this year versus last year, we just got done facing, in my opinion, one of the best running quarterbacks that we might see this year in Terry Wilson. So I think Terry Wilson's as good an athlete as you could see at this level. And so that's sort of what our game plan was last week. So there could be some similar things that we're doing schematically, defensively. People have to tune in to see what we got for this guy.
And then lastly for you, do you typically look at what other defenses are doing against your offenses? And I'm thinking specifically about Danny Gonzalez and Rocky Long this past weekend. Is there anything that you saw on film that they were doing to your offense that were you surprised by it or could be beneficial for your defense moving forward?
To be honest with you, not really, especially with this shortened of a week. There might, in a bye week, we had a chance to watch a little bit of New Mexico and obviously have the utmost respect for Coach Long and his and that staff. So we had a chance to look, be honest with you, we look at a little bit of what Zach Arnett does, a little bit at Mississippi State, and Tony White, all guys that have worked under Coach Long that have gone on to have some, success at different levels and stuff, or at different programs. So trying to, obviously, like you're saying, take an idea here or there from different people and get ourselves into a situation to what might be good for us and what are for our players.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, John. Have a great day, buddy.
You too.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Derek.
Hey, Coach, looking at Trenton having that interception right there on the goal line, I looked up some red zone numbers, and you guys have only allowed 12 trips inside the red zone and 7 touchdowns, not a single rushing touchdown. What is so far the secret to success for you guys when teams do get inside the 20 on those rare occasions?
Well, I appreciate those stats, Derek, because those are some things I don't necessarily know. The biggest thing for us is we felt like last year we were not as good in the red zone, and that was a big point of emphasis for us. But we're going to try to dictate to the offense what we feel that they want to do, and that might be put an extra guy in the box. That might be, unfortunately, taking some of our defensive backs and putting them in man coverage and forcing them to make that great throw, which some teams have. And put that, but we're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive in that area. But as far as running it in and things of that nature, that's a little bit, didn't necessarily pay attention to that stat as far as that, but it's just put more people in the box and force people into maybe more one-dimensional type offenses.
And with the overtime against Utah, you got a lot of looks there inside the 10. What'd you learn about your team during that crazy end of that game?
Just the grittiness of our program and just I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but I go back to the culture that Coach Oak talks about on a daily basis and the senior leadership, our captains, whether it be Trent, Sagoon, and Caden, we have 3 on defense that consistently perform and consistently bring a positive energy and a no-quit mindset. Go back to our strength coach, Coach Hall, what he's done with our program and constantly putting our kids in positions to fail, to learn from that failure so that hopefully we don't make that mistake again, toughness-wise and all that stuff. But saw a gritty, no-quit type attitude that you just love to coach and love to be around.
And then to double down on the no rushing touchdowns in the red zone, the venerable Mike May just informed me or reminded me that you haven't allowed a rushing touchdown this season. Did you realize that? And through 5 games, how is that even possible in college football?
Unfortunately, we've let up some passing touchdowns, so we'll keep it at that. As far as, obviously there's things that we continue to work on. And again, I think it's just the mindset and the culture. If you talk to Keyshawn Banks, I think it was last week, Caden McDonald a couple times have been on a microphone, which we consider 2 leaders of our program, talk about any yard or any point given up is unacceptable. And that's sort of our standard, Derek. And we take a lot of pride in that. We try to work at that every day and have the mindset to sit here and say, hey, we have a standard, let's play to our standard. And that's why when we don't play to that and, against Utah for that 5 minutes or against Arizona in the second half or several plays against Towson, when we don't play to our standard, that's when it becomes disappointing and frustrating because we're only guaranteed so many opportunities. And if you don't get a chance to perform in those limited opportunities that we've been given, that's when it's disappointing because think about it. Our players work 365 days a year to get a chance to play 12 games. And that's not very many. Think about baseball, think about basketball, and all those other sports that play a lot of games. So, if you're maybe not on this game or something like that, hey, we only have 12. And so, give or take the season. And so that's where we try to take advantage of all these opportunities we're being given.
Thanks, Coach. Congrats.
Thank you, Derek.
Thanks, Derek. We'll go to Kirk.
Hey, Coach. Last year when Nick Nash came in, what about him was the most challenging? Had you guys been able to know much about him, or what made him the biggest challenge for you guys to react to?
I'd say there were several things, Kirk. Number one was, I was not familiar with Nick Nash. I don't think up to that point in the season, he played very many snaps at all. And so schematically, we felt like, okay, Starkel's down. This is the system that they're going to run, which is very running back friendly, very pass happy, push the ball downfield. And they had some elite elite receivers last year that could really take the top off on defense. So from our mindset, we said, hey, we still got to play top down, meaning, hey, protect the deep shots, and then we'll stop the run with a light box if we have to because of this. And now all of a sudden Nash comes in and he's gripping and ripping and, it's running left and right. So schematically we had to change some things along the run. And then you find out he's an elite athlete along the way. So not only are the running backs, making some things, but now he's able to carry the ball with some quarterback-driven run game. And it was just one of those things where I was embarrassed by our performance. I was embarrassed by the lack of adjustments that I made as a coordinator throughout the game. And, we're going to do our best to put our best product out on the field this week.
I haven't seen an update yet on who's going to QB for them, but are you expecting Starkle to be back or see Nash again? What do you expect?
We're expecting Nash, and again, with the limited information that San Jose gives out as far as their injuries, we, like I said, we'll try to have maybe a couple ideas, a couple things for Starkle. But if Starkle comes in, they have a stable of backs, about 3 backs that we think are really talented. That we feel like those guys would be the feature to their piece for the run game. But if Nash is in there, it's a quarterback and running back element, similar to last week, like New Mexico, Terry Wilson / their running backs as far as a 1-2 punch. So if Starkle's in, it's actually a little bit less run game at times that you have to prepare for versus the quarterback runs. And again, understanding, what we try to do is, once they start running with that quarterback, now it's 11-on-11 football. And so, you can't miss. You have to be sound. You have to leverage the ball properly. There is no, hey, I didn't play it right here. It just makes you more defend 53 in the third as well as one-on-one tackling in open space.